And welcome to Ask Lois, the Relatable Therapist. I'm Lois Godot, and thank you so much for stopping on by to listen to my video. Listen, I'm always late to the party. I was watching this reality show on OWN TV called Love and Marriage Huntsville. The people that are in there, Melody and Martell, they are an example of what happens in a divorce when you've been betrayed. And so while everyone can connect to how Melody is feeling and how the kids are feeling, there's a deeper dynamic that goes on when you've been betrayed that leads to a divorce. So let's talk about it. Yeah, like I said, I'm late to the party. I know this probably happened 3 years ago. It's Love and Marriage Huntsville, and it's on the OWN network. And you can go ahead and do video on demand and watch it. But what I liked about the show is that it is true to what really happens in a divorce. Let me just go ahead and read this disclaimer. This video is protected by the Fair Use Act of 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, which is allowances is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. So I want to make sure I put that disclaimer in there before I get to really talking about this. So let me go ahead and put this couple up because this is Martell and Melanie Holt. I think she goes by the name now of Melanie Cherie because they are divorced. So they were an up and coming couple in Huntsville, Alabama. And because of infidelity, they divorced. And the story really does lay out the feelings and the emotions that went up and down with Martell and even with Melody throughout the season. And so in the show, he had an affair the first time. She found out, I think, about a couple of years later. When she found out about it, she did leave for 6 months. Then she came back and they were supposedly working on their relationship. Little did she know that he was continuing to have the affair that produced a child. And when the child produced, then everything like hit the fan. And then that's when she really started going through her emotions. And so that's the couple that we're talking about. What I do want to focus on is the challenges that the betrayed partner experiences when they're going through a divorce. And one of the things I do want to say that's a myth is you just don't get over it. Because how you see people say, get over it, don't worry about it. What, particularly in this situation, they have been together for over 14 years. How do you just get over something that quick? And see, I have experience in this, not only because I work with step parents and I work with individuals in my counseling, but I'm also someone that was divorced because of betrayal. And so I know that don't just get over it. You have all of these feelings and emotions. And sometimes people tell you just get over it. And how they tell you to get over it, get somebody else. Well, that's not really helpful because you're still having all of those emotions that haven't been dealt with. And that's why a lot of times when people do move on, they start still having a lot of problems with anger because they've never really addressed what's going on. Another truth is that you are going to be emotional. That's a truth. You're going to be emotional. You've been in this relationship. You thought that it was going to last, and you realize now that it's not lasting and that the dream that you had has crumbled apart. So you are going to have emotions. And so that's a reality. And so one of the things I just want to say is you may have what I call out of control feelings. Like your feelings may be out of control, may feel like you're on a roller coaster. Because in this particular show, Melody, she had made every effort to keep her marriage apart. Once he had cheated, she said, you know what, I'm going to give it another chance. And she gave it everything she had, only to realize that everything that she was doing, it didn't really work. And the marriage disintegrated anyway. So that's why her emotions are all out of control, because she was trying to do everything that she thought to hold on to the marriage, to make the marriage work, but it still didn't work. Another thing is that sometimes the person that's betrayed gets accused of playing the victim card because they're always angry and they're always upset. But just think about it. You thought that this relationship was going to work. And in the relationship, they may have been lying to you. They may have been gaslighting you. They may have been manipulating you. They may have been lying to you. And of course, they're cheating on you. So all of this is going on. And now you're feeling the impact. You're feeling that, you know what? I believe this and it really wasn't going to. So it's like you're processing it afterwards. And so, yeah, there's going to be time where you're going to feel angry. And there's going to be times where you are going to continue to lash out. But you have a right to be. You have a right to be angry. You have a right to be bitter because it may have been traumatized to you. All these years you believe in that person. Now, all of a sudden, smack in your face, you're realizing that what you thought was true wasn't true. You are going to have those emotions and you're going to feel like you were the victim. And so, whereas maybe part of it is true that the person is paying the victim for sympathy, but it's really true that they are the victim and that they may feel traumatized because of this, may feel traumatized. And so you have to allow that betrayed person to have those emotions and not try to squash those emotions. Not the movie. I know in the show, when the couples would get together, the other people couldn't understand why they were still angry, why Melody was angry, why she'd lash out, because this was traumatic for her. She was dealing with all of those emotions. And one thing, they should have never put them together, because when you're going through a divorce, it's good probably not to be around that person, especially if you've been betrayed by that person, because you're angry, you're bitter, you're mad. And especially if you were trying to work it out and it didn't get worked out. So while I was watching the movie, while I was watching the show, I kept saying, why do they keep putting them in the same space? They keep putting them in the same space and they see that they're not ready yet. So I know when I went through my divorce, I wasn't ready to be in the same space as my ex. I didn't want to be in the same space. So that's something that people need to recognize, is that it is good for them to be alone. It's not, even though you still have the same friends, putting them together, especially when you see that it's volatile, that's not a good idea. It's not a good idea for them to continue to be together. Another thing that happens when you are going through a divorce because you've been betrayed is you may feel that they're trying to take something from you. You don't trust them because all this time you were trusting them that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing in a relationship, and you found out they weren't. Now, when you start trying to divvy up assets or anything, you don't trust that they're being honest. You don't trust that they're looking out for your best interest. And so we saw that again in the show, that Mel didn't trust him. She didn't believe that when he wanted to babysit, that it was about the kids. She thought it was about another motive. So you can see that when you're going through it, you're not trusting this person because they've given you cause not to trust them. They've given you reason to doubt them. You don't trust that what they're saying is the truth. And so that's why when you see contentious divorces, especially when the person has been betrayed, because they don't trust the person anymore. They, in the marriage, they weren't trustworthy. And so why would you think that they're going to be trustworthy now? So that's why you see the contention. Also, when you find someone that's cheating, what they may say to the other person is, don't tell anybody, because they try to make you feel shame. You know, if you tell people, what they will say. And so even in the show, the first time he cheated, Mel didn't tell anybody. She went away for 6 months and then she started trying to build the relationship back up, because you feel embarrassed. You feel shame. It's like, especially if you've been riding for this person and you've been trusting them and telling people that we've got this wonderful relationship, and then you find out it was all a lie. So you're embarrassed. You're embarrassed and you're ashamed. And that's exactly what she went through. She was embarrassed and she was ashamed about the relationship because she thought she had this intact marriage, and to find out that you didn't have that after all. Another thing that happens when you're in a relationship and you've been betrayed is low self-esteem. So low self-esteem shows up as you doubting your self-worth. What don't I have that the other person has? What do they have that I don't have? You know, how come I couldn't satisfy this person? And in the show, we would see a lot of times Martell, he would bring up like what this other person did for him. And at one point, Melanie, she threw a glass at him and she was like, I'm tired of hearing that. Tired of hearing how this person did something that I didn't do. Now, let me just say, this is just season one, the first through the third season. I haven't finished the rest of them. It's just that I saw it and I was like, you know what? This is something that really people should see, because this is all of the emotions that you go through. And then one thing, though, that as I was watching this, because I'm in season 3, like I said, and in season 3, you know, I think in season 2, at the end of season 2 also, they went to a therapist for their co-parenting because they realized that they don't know how to effectively co-parent. One thing that people don't realize is that when you're going through a divorce, you also need to see a therapist to help process your emotions. Now, Melody, she might have went to a therapist. I kind of remember her saying that a little bit. I think she said it, but I don't think Martell did. I don't think he went to a therapist after they got divorced. Now, one part before they got divorced, or when they were trying to rebuild it after the first affair, I think they did go to a therapist. But the second time, it's like, because their emotions were all over the place. I mean, all over the place. They couldn't even go to a setting together and talk because it was emotional. And they needed to learn how to address their emotions, how to process their emotions. If they had went to a therapist, they would have realized that they didn't need to be in the same space because the wound and the hurt was still so fresh. And that's what happens a lot of times in relationships with divorce. People still want to do the same things they've done. But remember, divorce is like a death. Divorce is under the umbrella of a death. It's something that you didn't want, but it's something that happened. And so you have to realize what's going on. And I just think that even though their friends were there and they meant well, but they couldn't help them. The only thing that they saw was that they don't need to be together. They keep on having these episodes. But they really needed to go to a counselor to be able to talk about those feelings. And I can relate to that because when I went through my divorce, I went through a period of depression, because you go through a period of depression and you need somebody to talk to because this is new. Melody said a lot of times that this is new. I've never went through this before. And it was her first divorce. And so hopefully her only divorce, but she did go through that. And this is a new journey. And so now they're starting they're trying to repair from the divorce and then do the co-parent at the same time. And it's a lot. And so I just thought I'd just hop on and just talk about that because, like I said, I'm late to the party, but this is a very good series. And I know I wanted, because as I'm watching it, I'm seeing some co-parenting issues and how it really connects to what really happens in co-parenting. I'm looking at the dynamics between the in-laws when someone divorced. So, I'm going to be doing some more videos on this. So if you're a person you like Love and Marriage Huntsville, just follow me because I'm going to be talking about a lot of the different dynamics in the different couples' relationship. And so you watch it. Let me know what you think. You watch it. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think about the movie. I'm going to go ahead and look at some more, and I will be looking at more of the marriages in there because this platform is for parents, and that's one of the things that happen when people divorce. Sometimes they don't realize how it impacts them, because how it impacts them. And as I said, I'm going to talk about what's going on with the kids because you can clearly see how it's impacting the kids. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. And again, if you've seen it, I'm late to the party. Go ahead and write down there and let me know what you think about it. And here's another video that's going to help you on that journey to be an awesome parent.